All right, so hello. Welcome to the first rendition of On the Fly podcast. With your boy Timmy McFly. I, being your Uncle McFly, are here to just chat with you a little bit. This is like a new format for me. Basically, I just want to kind of use this as a podcast / a video diary to keep myself accountable on a couple of things. And then, what's up? Welcome. So yeah, I want to use this format to kind of keep myself accountable on a couple of things, log things about my life and stuff like that, things I haven't really done before, and just see how it goes from here. And so today I just want to kind of talk a little bit about what the journey has been for me in the last, few months, dealing with things like hip pain and things of that nature. So for me, the main thing of dealing with hip pain is to kind of understand, you got to understand where it was from the beginning. So basically, I'm 36 years old, and I've been dealing with hip pain ever since the age of 14. So when I was 14, I was involved in a bicycle accident. I was riding my bike to school and then, hit and run. You know what I mean? So I just remember waking up and this kind of gravel, gravel pit, and there was tall grass surrounding me in that area. And I just remember just looking up and I could barely, call for help and things like that. And then as I was going through, man, I felt like I was just gonna be there forever. It could have been 2 minutes, it could have been in 2 hours, who knows, you know what I mean? And if it wasn't for my 7th grade teacher at the time, she ended up finding me and then calling 911 and stuff like that. And when I looked down at my legs were twisted in ways that I can't even describe, man. I just knew that my legs weren't even supposed to bend like that, you know what I mean? And when the ambulance showed up, we were like, hey, we got to stabilize your leg. And because I was pinned pretty good to the pedals and everything else like that, so they had to remove the pedals from my bike to even get my leg from out of the the damage and stuff. And then from there, I'm gonna tell you straight up, that's when I was seeing white, you know what I mean? Because just the pain. And next thing I remember is just flash, I'm in my ambulance, and then flash, I'm in a I'm in the hospital. And at that time there was you kind of busted up your femurs pretty good, to the point that you kind of severely damaged your growth plates and all kinds of nonsense that I didn't know what that meant at the time. But and then that led me to have my first ever round of hip surgery. So the first time I had hip surgeries was the first one was on my left side, and my left side had pen, just the average pens, you know what I'm saying? They just put it in there. And then that limited my mobility. And then a month or two later, that's when they had to do the right side as well, because they were looking at both sides. They were yeah, you're gonna have problems with both of these, so we're gonna fix it now. And when I tell you, life was kind of rough at that point, right? Because they were telling me things you're not going to do things that you like. You're not going to be able to do PE. You're not going to be able to do basketball or, play in the park and all this other stuff. You're going to be, pretty much, with this walker. You know what I'm saying? So think about telling a 14-year-old kid who loved to play with his friends and, and his brothers, going outside, especially, just to, just take walks. I was, you know what I mean? And you're telling me that I can't do that anymore. I'm pretty much going to be sidelined. So it was pretty much a hell no, fuck that for me. You know what I mean? Like, I had too many things to do. I had too many people depending on me, especially at a young age. You know what I mean? I spent most of my life with my grandfather. My grandfather was blind, and I was his eyes. So pretty much, like, I would hold his hand, and like, that's how we would walk around. I would literally tell him, step up, step down. We held on each other really tightly. So like, I learned how to see the world from the eyes of a blind man. And so like, I was determined, man. Like, every day, like, I was doing the things that they told me not to do. Like, I would push my walker in the middle of like the room, and then I would like walk to it and see how far I would get. And like, of course, it wasn't like, oh, like I got there on day 1 or day 3 or day. It was like, it took me probably like a month or 2 to like walk to that walker, you know what I mean? And then it was crazy, man. It was like, I fell down a lot, like I stumbled and stuff. And the good part about it was I was able to hold onto a wall, and then I was managed to like always put myself next to things that I can easily try to catch myself with, like either, like there was like an edge of a bed or a chair or a couch or something that I could pretty much do, you know what I mean? And yeah, so it was a lot of trial and error and stuff like that. So like, even though I did learn how to walk again, that didn't come at without a price. So the price that I paid was that like, I pretty much had a limp. Like, I had a really severe limp. Like, I had a waddle. Like they used to call me Penguin in school. Like, you know what I'm saying? I used to teeter totter like my way and everything. And then like somehow with that, like life became normal. Like, I just became the kid who had that limp, and then somehow like I kind of turned it as part of my identity, you know what I'm saying? So like, I learned how to run. I learned how to do all the different things just with that hip, you know what I mean? And just going through like all the pain, fighting through it and everything else like that. And I finally got a chance to do something that I always wanted to do, because like when I was 14, like I was already like immersed in the world of martial arts, and like this accident kind of took me away from that world, like where I felt like I was just getting started, and get your wings clipped, you know what I mean? Like, it was rough. Like, art, martial arts, music, those are big parts in my life, especially martial arts. I grew up watching like Power Rangers and stuff like that, so I always wanted to do it. My dad and my mom are in the military, and my dad's a martial artist and stuff like that. So like my brothers got into boxing and everything, and I always wanted to do what they did. So I got to a point where like I got a chance to do that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I'd start off slowly. Like, at first it was learning like the sweet science, learning how to box and everything else like that, and then eventually like trying to do other martial arts. And even when you're like a kid who's like trying to like live your life and try to do like these things that like we kind of take for granted, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people didn't want to take like the chance to like teach a kid that had like these hip issues. Like, I literally like I wanted to do things like capoeira and stuff like that, and then like I was told no. It was like, nah, like I would love to see capoeira heal you, and it's great for mobility, but what you got going on, I think maybe a little bit too severe for you. So like, you know what I mean? Like, no one would try to take a chance to try to like modify things for me and things, and like until like later on in life, like, which leads up to surgery number 3. Like, I started getting pain again and things like that. And I think at this time I was like either 19 or 20 at this point. So I think like 5 or 6 years passed by that time. And then like I had a revision. So like I had a revision on my right side, and that revision like was a game changer. Like, I got a chance to like had way more mobility than I had in the last like 5 and 6 years at this point. So I'm like jumping at the bits. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to do all the things. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, I still couldn't do like pedaling motions, you know, with my like on a bike or anything else like that. Like I was like severely limited. You know what I'm saying? And so like I would just go back to the places that like told me no. You know what I'm saying? So I went to like the Muay Thai place. I went to the Capoeira place. I went to like, you know, the Jiu-Jitsu place. And, you know, like I started learning these things. I started learning things. And then, you know, thank you so much for that, you know, and like, yeah, like I started learning these things. Well, you guys can't really see it right now, but I'm looking at the chat, and then, you know, one of the boys next is Haven, you know, like Xenon, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, brother. You know, but like I was doing all these different things, and stuff like, but it just didn't feel right. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was always like a step behind other people. And then I found my way into like this place called Mile High Karate, like in Miami, right? Closed down now, but there was an instructor there who took a really good chance on me, right? Really good chance, by the name of Jeff. It literally changed my life when it came to martial arts. He was like, you're just gonna have to modify some things. So then, you know, he was teaching me things like, you know, like how to, you know, compensate for different things, like how to compensate, you know, my balance, you know, how to use things like half guard and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. So like things that I thought like, you know, that I would never be able to learn. I got a chance to learn these things, you know what I mean? And then I got a level of confidence and stuff like that. Like, you know, I got in some really good shape and stuff like that. And when I got in really good shape, you know, like it really started getting, like, everything started looking up, right? Because it was like, oh man, like I get to do these things now. Like I get to live an actual normal life. Like I still had a limp, but at the same time, it's like I found ways to swag it out. So, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing too bad at this point. Then it brings me over to like shortly after my 20th, like after my 20th birthday, I don't think, probably like 3 years later, that dull pain started coming back, right? And like, so I started training less, you know, like, and then when I went to see what was going on, you know, like I didn't really tell anybody what was going on, and that was a stupid decision on my part, you know what I mean? So like I looked, and then, you know, like I went to like different urgent cares and stuff like that, and it was like, hey, like you're gonna need to go see an orthopedic doctor and things like that. So like I went to go like see an orthopedic doctor, and they're telling me that like, hey, you got something called degenerative arthritis, you know what I mean? Like you're just gonna be building up calcium until this like bone on bone type of action, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it was. It was pain. I was living with chronic pain like every day. Like I'll wake up sharp shooting pain. There would be some times where I wake up in the morning and I can't even move, you know what I mean? And like I just ignore the pain, because like during that time, you know, like I just didn't want to go through surgery again, you know what I'm saying? Like I already went through 3 surgeries, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to do another one, right? So like I said, fuck it, you know, like I'm just gonna deal with it. So I did. And just like I said before, not a great idea, because I progressively got worse. You know what I mean? Like during that time, like I went away from college, and, you know, like the only person that I was living with at the time was like, my older brother, like he's my youngest older brother. So like I'm the youngest out of 4, and the brother right before me, you know, is my best friend in the entire world. You know what I mean? And like, that's my boy, you feel me? And, you know, like I would just, I would just play it off like things were wrong, like the days where, like I had to go to class and I was in severe pain, I would just go. You know what I mean? Like at the time when we moved, like we didn't have, like car access at that time, you know what I mean? Like, so like I would tough it out and try to walk to school. Stupid idea. If you got hip pain, don't try to walk to school, especially like it's like 3 to 5 miles to school. Don't do that. You know what I mean? And so I did it. Like I would do it, and then like I would go to class, and then I could barely concentrate what things on the board and all this other stuff, because it was just painful. And so like I fought through it, and then eventually got to a chance to graduate. But again, like the thing that I couldn't shake off was this pain. And the thing about pain is that you don't really notice how much it changes your personality, right? Especially like when you go through it chronically. Like what I learned to do to deal with the pain, instead of just like admitting that things hurt, I learned to get mad at my pain. So I got really super like mad at stuff, and I'll be blunt and short with people. And I didn't know I was doing this, and then it would trickle over into my relationships, all kinds of stuff. So like like I will be like I'll just be in a whole bunch of pain, and then later on, like somebody's just, trying to like, joke around or say something, or, like trying to see what's going on with me. Like I will be short, I will fly off the handle and things like that. And it was just because I was in pain, and I literally went off on a person that didn't deserve it, So like I lost out on some friendships. I lost out on a lot of like opportunities for, like romance, like due to me being like a jackass, you know what I mean? And then, like when it got to a point where it just started really, really affecting my life, I went back. I went back to a doctor and see what they can do. This time, the revision needed to be on my left side. This time, they were talking about total hip replacement. So this is the first time that, like, I was brought up, to think about, like, oh man, like they're gonna be switching, like, a part of me. You know what I'm saying? They're not just gonna, just like add a bone or anything else like that. They're gonna be removing stuff. So like, I'm gonna have literally like this artificial joint like in my leg, and I'm like, this is a lot to think about. And the thing is, it's just like what I didn't want to do is I was coming up with excuses not to do it. Like I was like, well, like I may not be able to, go back and do the martial arts that I would be able to do. I may not be able to exercise the same. May not be able to do. So I was coming up with all these different excuses in my head of why not to do this thing, right? And that's what it was. I was procrastinating on it, but I got worse. I got worse to the point that I was at my job, and I would just buckle over in front of customers, like in pain, getting sent home early and stuff like that, to the point that I was taking financial hits, you know what I'm saying? And then for those of you who don't know me, I've been a professional artist since the age of 18 or 17, I should say. And so for the last 19 years, I've been working with illustration, graphic design, and all that kind of stuff. And some of the my freelance obligations started falling through because I was in so much pain that I would just lay there. I couldn't make it to my computer or anything else like that, and I would just lay there. And I would start ignoring phone calls. I would start ignoring people, invitations to go out, just because I was in pain. Thank you so much, CL. Thank you so much. Shout out to CL, by the way. Very, very great person. But yeah, man, I was in a place where, I was just losing out on opportunities just because I was in kind of pain. I would not answer phones. I would not go to invitations, and to the point where people stopped inviting me places because and to me, I justified it saying, you know what, I don't want to bring down anybody else's mood, because I just simply was hard-headed and didn't want to talk about what I was going through. right? And when I think about it now, it's like how stupid I was. You know what I mean? There were so many things, so many different people that cared about me, and I didn't realize it at that point. You know what I'm saying? It was just my pride would get in my way. My pride got in my way. Like I was listening to all these different voices in my head that at the end of the day were just me coming up with excuses of why I can't tell them, why not to ask for help and stuff like that. Like I can't do this thing. And so like I got to a point where I got sick of it. Like, and I decided, you know what? Yeah, doc, sign me up for that hip replacement unless he was gonna go down, you know. And once I scheduled it, you know, like that was the first time that like I told my family about it, and which was a surprise to them because they wasn't knowing what I was going through. They knew that, you know what I'm saying, like I had pain, but they didn't know how severe it was. You know what I mean? So like my parents, my brothers, and all that other stuff, they was like, dang, like we didn't really know. And how could they? Like, how could they know? Like I didn't tell them and stuff like that. And you know, like for the first time in my life, you know, like I was, you know, afraid. Like I was like terrified of like the outcome. Like I don't know what this is gonna mean for me, because like I never had a artificial joint before. Like I never did, right? Like before this point, all I had was just, you know, revisions. And what revisions are is just like they put a rod next to your bone, or they put like a screw like into your bone to keep it in place. But it wasn't like, you know what I mean, like this foreign material, you know, that was going to be placed in. You hear so many horror stories about it, like, oh, it's going to pop out here if you do this. You can't, like, your life is over the moment that you have hip replacements, because you're going to have to go back every 10, 15 years in order to, like, get it done and all that other kind of stuff, right? And these are the things that, you know, when you hear, because, like, I did a stupid thing when I first got introduced to this. I went to YouTube University to try to figure out, you know, if I could get the surgery or not, you know what I mean? And all the things that I got were super old. Like, there was nothing that was like speaking about, you know, like I didn't know about the different approaches to hip replacement, like, you know, the way they go in matters, all that kind of stuff. I didn't know all that. And so like, I'm like, you know what, something has to be done, man. I'm tired of waking up in pain. I'm tired of, you know, pushing people away in my life that I care about. And so I decided to do it. And when I did, like when I woke up in that hospital, I woke up and there's something that like I instantly knew that was different. This is the first time that when I looked down like at my foot, like my foot was actually straight, because usually like, and so like think about like, you know, like this may sound like, well, duh, yeah, your feet were supposed to be straight. For my whole entire life, I had like this outturn, right? And so I was like, my legs were like in this plie almost kind of position, you know, like I had outturns on both sides. And this is the first time that my leg was actually straight. Like, and I haven't seen it like that since like I was a kid. So for me, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Like I never thought of it that way. I never thought of it like, holy smokes, you know what I mean? Like I never thought about like, yo, this is a new lease on life, you know what I mean? I'm like, I got to sit at the edge of the bed, something that I wasn't able to do without having one of my hands balancing me. You know what I mean? Like something just as mundane as that. Like I never got a chance to do that correctly. I never got a chance to just sit up like straight. And it was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is crazy. I'm like, oh man. And what they don't tell you about hip replacements is that like they try to get you up and moving automatically. They're just sitting there saying, hey dude, day one, you're standing and you have an apartment with stairs. Okay, so we're going to teach you how to get up and down stairs. We're going to teach you how to get in and out of cars, all this other stuff. And like, it was crazy, man. It was like, even when it came down to things like, like driving and stuff like that, like it was a totally brand new experience, because my whole fear is that my leg used to lock up in different places. So like I had a fear of driving like long distances, because if my leg were to lock up while it was on the gas, or if it was on the brakes and I couldn't move in an emergency situation, like I can hurt somebody or hurt myself, like potentially, right? So it was a crazy thing. I was sitting there like, oh man, like this is great. So this is great. Like I have this new lease on life. You know what I mean? And mind you, I didn't get both done. The doctor warned me. He was like, hey, you have degenerate both sides. You have degenerate arthritis on both sides. The left was worse than it was on the right, but eventually your right is going to catch up with you. I was so happy about just, being able to, like move. Like I didn't care. I was like, all right, yeah, man. Like I see you when I see you, doc. And I did that. Did a whole month. I did everything they told me in PT. Like he was like lift your leg up. Like lift your leg, do the squats, like do the swings. Like do the calf raises. Stretch your quads, all that other stuff, man. Like because the thing is, you get when you first get like physical therapy. This was actually my first time in my life that I had like actual physical therapy, because when I was growing up and I had those other surgeries, I didn't have physical therapy. I would just like, I did my own therapy. I would just like walk, you know what I'm saying? When they told me that I could walk, and then, like I didn't do things like bend and all that other stuff. And then, so like a lot of the muscles that I had like around those areas atrophied and stuff like that. So then I got to this point where, like I was doing things better, and like the things that I like to do, I was doing things better. I got to do martial arts better. Like I got to I got to kickbox better. I got to box better. I got to, you know what I'm saying? Like I got to stand for longer periods of time. I got to sit for longer periods of time. It was the first time in literally decades, because I didn't get this, like I didn't get my hip replaced, my first hip replacement, until I was like 30. You know what I mean? So 6 years ago, right? And when I tell you, like, I never used to be able to do that pedaling motion. And at the time I had like, it's called eSporter now, but when I went, it was called LA Fitness. The one around here, they probably still have LA Fitnesses around, but like all the ones down in Florida that I know of, are been changed to eSporter. But yeah, like I've never been able to do that pedaling motion. So I was like, all right. So man, do you know how long I've been on them ellipticals and exercise bikes? I was like, we about to get it in. You know what I'm saying? So so that's what I was doing. I was like, yo, we are pedaling. And I'm just like, just keep pedaling. What do? We pedal. And that's what I was doing. Like I was pedaling up a storm. You couldn't tell me otherwise. And all that other stuff, but like then it started happening again. Pain started happening. But here's the thing: the place that I was working at the time, you know what I mean, like the health insurance, to pay all that other stuff, like we my family up here, like we were falling on hard times financially. So like I had to spend every extra moment that I could, like either, freelancing or finding ways to make money. So like, for me, it was like, oh man, like at this point I'm like working 3 jobs and all that other stuff. And then, just like the health insurance alone was not like it wasn't decent. It was just more just like it only covered like the basics, like if you went to like a hospital visit, or if you had like prescriptions that you need to fill, that was about it. But we're talking about like like if you're trying to get your other hip replaced and stuff like that, we're talking about $100,000 surgery. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So like that's not cheap at all. You know what I mean? Because like the first time I did it, like I had really good health insurance, so they covered up to about, I think at that time it was like $102,000, and I only had to pay back like $1,000 of it. You know what I'm saying? So it was a premium insurance. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man. But like when I left that job, you know what I mean? Like, I left that health insurance behind as well too. And then when you try to get health insurance on your own, because like during that time, the ways that I was making money was through freelance, both through graphic design and illustration, and then like working like overnight jobs and stuff like that. And so like paying for health insurance on yourself, man, yeah, super expensive, man, super expensive. So like, so I went for years, you know what I'm saying, just dealing with the pain, because it wasn't that bad. And then, you know, things eventually got better. And so like fast forward for a few years, I'm at my current job, you know what I'm saying? So I'm doing a lot better than I did previous years, you know, financially. Like, you know, like I'm able to get, you know, like all around, like I had a stable job with a great, like with good insurance, dental, visual, all that kind of stuff. And then this was the first time in my life that, you know, like I was able to get higher paying clients when it came to freelance, you know. So it was a whole totally different thing. And it was like, wow, like I'm in a different place, you know. And so like then it just got to a point where, you know, like I was working from home. So like when you work from home, you don't, like, you just go with the, you know, like the normal stuff you do. You really don't worry about the pain too much, but you do wake up in pain. And it got to a point where it wasn't like I would stop moving or anything. It's just like I started noticing that it was really becoming a thing, right? So like during that time, you know what I mean, like of me figuring out, should I get the surgery or not, and all this other stuff, like I still, even though like I had this success with, you know, the first hip replacement and everything else like that, like the other side scared me, because like I had this huge piece of metal, like I had a rod going down my femur, you know what I'm saying? So like this wasn't the same like they did before. This was going to be like, essentially they had to take out new metal, put in old, like take out old metal, put in new metal and things like that. And like I just hated just going to the hospital. Like I don't care like about the benefits, you know, of the surgeries and stuff like that. Being in hospitals are no fun, man. They're just not, you know. And I hated the fact that like I had to go through another surgery again, you know. So like again, I was putting it off, and then boom, like life take another change. Like this is my turn in the family. Like my two oldest brothers, they're already are homeowners, you know. Like my brother and I, we just became homeowners like last year, 2024. And so now it's like, okay, now we got a stable roof over our head, we got stable, steady income and stuff like that. But the thing is, I had to get over my nerves, you know. I just got to a point where it's just like, I'm like, do I really want to get surgery? You know, how long can I hold this off and stuff? And then my dad, my father, he liked how much I was moving around when it came to my hips, that he got both his hips done by the same doctor I went to. And I saw how he was moving around, and that gave me some courage, right? And he said, son, he said, look, you're in your mid-30s right now. You're not going to get any younger. You might as well get it while you still can heal. He's like, look, man, like, I'm in my 60s, and this ain't no picnic, you know, like I still hurt from time to time, and I still got it done. You can get it done, son. Like, you got family, you got people who are gonna look out for you, you know, like you don't need to be scared. And I took what he said to heart, and I went, got a consultation, and this past October 29th, I went and I got surgery. Now I got both hips replaced, and it's a new journey, you know what I'm saying? Like, there were some complications this time around, but all in all, for the most part, you know, like, I'm glad that I got the surgery this time. You know, like, I'm not waking up in pain like I used to. And I got flexibility that, you know, like, was, like, I thought, you know, like, I never really knew like that. You know, like, most of my life I've just been dealing with, like, you know, modifying things and, you know, doing, like, other types of movement or trying to find other ways to do a certain thing. And this is the first time where, you know, like, I started putting me first, you know, because, like, if anybody knows me, like, I like to put my family first. So I'm always here, you know, for my family, like, when they need me to do something or whatnot, or when it comes to working or anything else like that, you know. So like I was prioritizing a lot of that stuff. And then during that time, you know, like, I was going through, you know, like, you know, deaths in the family, you know, friends, and, you know, just, like, I wasn't in a good place mentally, you know what I mean? So it's just like that old fear that I had when I was a little boy came back and said, hey man, I don't think you want to get this, you know. And that's further from the truth. Like, I should have got it. I should have got it straight up. And when I tell you, like, I feel better now, you know, like, day by day I'm getting a little bit stronger, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still walking around partially with a walker. So, like, but, like, just today, the PT, the physical therapist, came out and was like, hey man, like, I suggest that, you know, you start walking around a little bit more without that walker. And, like, because right now what you're doing is like your mind is telling you that you can't do it, but, like, you got enough strength to do it. So, like, I've been getting up some courage, and, you know, I've been walking around my house and stuff like that. Tomorrow I plan to go outside and then, you know, just see if I can walk around the block, you know. Of course, you know, like, I'm gonna have my brother with me just in case my leg gets tired, and then I have to use that walker. But, you know, during the complications in the hospital, it made me realize a couple of things, you know what I mean? Like, I went in for one surgery, ended up with two, and, like, I lost a lot of blood, and, like, to the point where I needed, like, 3 blood transfusions and things like that. And I was in the ICU for probably like 5 to 6 days, and additional 3. So I spent 9 days in the hospital, because usually in hip surgeries they try to keep you for a day or two, and then they send you back home. But they're not. Like, it was different. And then I found something within myself that, like, I noticed, you know, like, I wasted a lot of my life, you know, just trying to modify things and trying to do things my own, like, on my own, to the point that, like, I didn't realize it, but I became my own worst enemy, in a sense, you know what I mean? Like I told you in the beginning, like, music, martial arts, art have been a big part of my life, you know. So, like, I was doing things like rap and things like that, and, you know, like, I put it on the back burner for, like, a lot of reasons, you know what I mean? And now I'm like, well, I got that chance to pick it up again, and I got a chance to, you know, like, work on my own comic, and I got, you know, chances to, you know, like, just find out more about myself, you know what I mean? Like, things that I just, you know, like, told myself that I was unable to do, I am able to do now. So what can I do? You know what I mean? Like, I lived a lot of life, but that was a lot of life in pain. So what would happen if I started living my life without it? You know, like, with more mobility. Like, how do I become more flexible with life? You know what I mean? So I decided to start a podcast, like, and hold myself accountable this time. Maybe telling, you know, like my plans to absolute strangers who can keep me accountable may be a great idea, right? So maybe this time I can't talk myself out of it. So that's why I'm pretty much doing this. And then also maybe, you know, from my story, if you're dealing with some type of chronic pain, you get yourself checked out. You know what I mean? And if you're suffering from anything, go get checked out. Don't wait. And like, your life gets progressively worse, especially like when you're dealing with chronic pain. Like some of the things, like you may be irritable, you may feel lonely and all that other stuff. It's just because you may have been pushing people away just because you just don't want to be a burden to other people, you know? So if you're listening to this, just, you know, go get yourself checked, you know? Know that it's okay. Have a strong support system if you don't have one, you know? Like, message me here, you know, like I'll, hopefully we can foster within the comments or, you know, this comment section and whatnot. Like we can make a strong support system for each other, you know, if you don't have to go through it by yourself, you know, like I try to, and trust me when I tell you, like it almost ruined my life, you know, and yeah, man, but now that we got that out the way, you know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and talk about a little bit about the things that I plan to do, you know, and the things that are actually putting forth in motion. So, as I said, I've been working on a comic book, and I've been working on a comic book for years now, like, you know, doing things like world building, sketching out stuff. And, but now in the last couple of months, I've been taking it a little bit more seriously. And, I want to come up with a webcomic, and then eventually, you know, either, you know, like a video game or like at least a motion comic or animation, you know, like self-produced. It's like, it's not gonna be something that's like, I want to see it on Netflix, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, this is some things I just want to do for me. I just want to, like, I want to do it just so I can have that out there, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to work for Disney. I don't want to work for DreamWorks. I don't want to work for all these other people and stuff like that. Like, I just want to do something on my own merits and see how far I can get, you know? So that's what it is for me. Same thing with rap. Like, you know, like I'm working on, you know, like a single right now, you know, trying to, you know, see how far I can push, like how far I can push it, you know, like myself, my brother and I, like we all kind of do music in this family, you know what I'm saying? So like, I'm trying to push that. I'm trying to push, you know, like more graphic design. Actually, graphic design is something that like never kind of fell off. Like I kept doing graphic design, but the thing is, like, I want to go a little bit further with it, you know, outside of just, you know, like freelancing for like small businesses and mid-sized businesses and stuff like that. Like I want to kind of scale it up a little bit, you know, from mid-size to like larger businesses and see how far we get with that, you know? So like I got my work cut out for me, but it's day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. So it's not something, like I said, like I don't expect all this stuff to get done tomorrow. But as I go through these things and as I, you know, set these goals out for myself, there's one thing that I also want to remind myself to do is to live life as well, you know what I mean? Like if one wants to take salsa lessons, you know what I'm saying? Like hey, like I always been a great BSer on a dance floor, you know what I'm saying? Like I did this thing like I like to call shoulder hands, you know what I'm saying? When you give them a little bit of shoulders and then when they think you done, bam, you sit them with the hands, you know what I'm saying? Getting money. So yeah, like that was me. That's me. I like having fun and things like that. I want to get back to it. Like I want to get back to having fun. I want to be able to like go out and do things, you know what I mean? Like you know, travel more. You know, go see some friends that I haven't seen yet. Like, you know, like I have some online friends that I want to see. I have like some friends that moved out the country that I want to see. You know, like I want to travel a lot more. I definitely, you know, want to discover new places, new people, new things, you know, like fall in love, potentially like roll the dice on getting my heart broken, all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's about that time, you know, like like I want to be, you know, there's some things that I want to do. Like sometimes I like talk myself out of, like, oh man, I'll be dealing with this pain for my whole life. So, like I don't want to deal with kids and stuff like that. And that was my reason for not wanting to have kids, because I was like, I don't want to be like, like held back from their lives. Like I don't want to, not be able to like toss the old pigskin around with my kids. I want to build tree forts and cardboard boxes and like what you call it, like play cops and robbers and all that stuff with my little peoples. You know what I'm saying? So like I don't want to miss any more life. I don't want to miss any more important events, and I want to be there for my family more. Like I missed so many of my nieces and my nephews' games and events because I just simply Uncle Tim was in pain. Yeah. And it still hurts me, like, yeah, I got the videos, but it's not the same as being there and being able to root for your little people, you know what I mean? Because like I try to credit myself as the fun uncle and everything else like that. So, like I want to be able to do that for them. I want to be able to be around more, like, and I want to go to their graduations. I want to see them do awesome and great things, now that I have the freedom to do so, now that I'm not in as much pain, like no more excuses. I just want to do it. Not want to, I am. So with that, next episode we'll go over a little bit more into detail of what is the plan for all this art, all this music and everything else like that. Like I thought this was gonna be longer than this. but I think I said everything that I wanted to say for now. But I thank you guys so much for listening. I thank you guys for rocking with me. And if you guys are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, comment, like, and share. If you think that anything that I said today that can help someone that you know, yeah, go ahead and share it. Know that they have a community here. So it's been real. My name is Timmy McFly. You can call me Uncle Timmy if you like. So peace out for now. And then let's do some awesome things together. Cool?